guys want to talk about?
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another brand new installment of For the Love of Wrestling. Back at its normal time, back at its normal days. I am, of course, your host, the Renegade of Wrestling, JJ Williams. Happy Tuesday. It's good to see everybody showing up, tuning in this morning. Let me just go ahead and start off with apologizing for my absence over the past week. Last Tuesday, the news broke about Raw to Netflix and The Rock onto the board of TKO, and so we completely scrapped the show to discuss that, and then I fell ill, just wasn't up to doing the shows. I'm still a little congested, still got a light cough, so if I mute a little bit and take a little longer than I normally do, I apologize. But I don't feel like crap anymore. I'm good enough to be here, good enough to do the shows for y'all. And let's get into it, because last night's Raw was the official kickoff for the road to WrestleMania. The dust from the Rumble has settled, and now we're starting to put the puzzle pieces into place. We got Stat Boy in the chat room saying nice jersey. Of course, that's what he would talk about, the sports guy, but I digress. So we are on the road to WrestleMania, as I said, and we see Jey Uso, Imperium, Damage Control all arrive at the arena. And we're then shown highlights from Saturday's Royal Rumble PLE. We then see Cody Rhodes arrive, and then Pat McAfee's music hits, and he joins Michael Cole for commentary this evening and every Monday going forward. CM Punk music's hits, and he comes out with his arm in a sling. Got a super chat from Nathan Tiblin right off the bat. Thank you very much, sir. $5 or £5 super chat. Glad you're feeling better. Good evening from England. Well, good evening to you too. Good morning from Victorville, California. Thank you for joining me, Nathan. CM Punk's promo says that he was very close, but close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. Thought he had it in the palm of his hand. Goes on to congratulate Cody Rhodes, and he wishes him the best of luck in finishing his story at WrestleMania. He says he feels unlucky because he's injured, and says WrestleMania 40 is now completely out of the cards. But as a fan of the Chicago Cubs, he said this before, and he knows he'll probably say it again. There's always next year. Drew McIntyre then comes out, and Drew says that he can relate to a little bit of what Punk's saying, and just kind of baits Punk into this false sense of security before going on to say that he prayed that Punk would be injured. And he targeted him. And now he's going to be the man to live CM Punk's dream. Punk says that his heart hurts more than his arm, and when he comes back, he's coming for Drew. McIntyre then blindsides and attacks Punk, and Sami Zayn, of all people, comes out for the save. Of course, Sami and Drew have got some history, but it's kind of cool to see Sami Zayn here defending CM Punk, as that's kind of an unlikely allegiance there if you really think about it. Statboy says, Drew McIntyre has lost a lot of points with me. I don't know what God he answers to, but by praying that Punk got hurt, I mean, to each their own. I'm enjoying this darker side of Drew McIntyre. I thought that was a little messed up what he said, but I'm really enjoying this journey back to more of the Scottish psychopath as opposed to the Scottish warrior that we've had. So We then saw Judgment Day in the locker room, and Mommy talks a little bit about how she's going to remind Bailey who she is. Priest and Balor go on to say that they're going to remind everybody else who the Judgment Day are and who the tag champions are. And it's a honestly, I felt it was a bit of a stale promo, but trust and believes it leads to some good shit a little bit later. Coming out of that, we see DIY cutting a promo about how they were born a few hours from Tampa, of course, referring to their time at the PC as a part of NXT, the Black and Gold NXT. And this leads us into our first contest of the evening, DIY versus Judgment Day for the Undisputed Tag Team titles. This was a fantastic opening contest. Lots of great action, double team spots, false finishes. Me and my fam were on the edge of the seat watching that. So many times we thought the match was going to end with new champs. Had a razor's edge into the coup de grace, gets the win for Judgment Day. Post-match, Dominic and JD McDonough come out to celebrate, and Priest gets on the mic and he calls out R-Truth. And Truth, does his shtick, talks about how him and Priest, he thinks of Priest like his older brother, how he thinks of Finn as that weird uncle, how JD is that stepbrother that nobody claims. And Truth is older than Priest, so it makes the joke a little bit funny there. And you thinking that he thinks that Priest is an older brother. But then Priest breaks the news to R-Truth that he's not part of the Judgment Day. And says, I like you, so I'm not going to do this. And JD McDonough just cracks Truth upside the back of the head. Pitbull all on top of him. Dom gets in there. They begin double teaming Truth. Miz comes out for the save. I'm almost positive I would bet what little money there is in my bank account, we're going to get Awesome Truth versus Priest and Balor at Elimination Chamber for the titles, and we will probably get new champions. See what we got here. Stat Boy says all focus on Rhea with the chamber in Australia. Absolutely. Why wouldn't they? Seth is out with injury. Roman is part-time at best. Need a solid performer for the main event. It's in her home country. Let her main event. Honestly, I say let's do Rhea versus Becky at the Chamber. I know everybody wants that match at Mania. I don't. I want the four horsewomen as far away from the main event picture as possible. I will give the exception to Bailey because she hasn't had a lot of singles focus lately, having been the main driving control of damage control there. But I don't want to see Charlotte, who's out on injury, thankfully, Sasha, who hasn't re-signed, or Becky anywhere near the title picture. Emmanuel's here. Good to see Emmanuel. Says, I don't know who's winning those tag titles. I suppose Awesome Truth, but how far is that going to go? Probably till WrestleMania. They will probably be transitional champions, if we're being honest. And that's all they really need to be. Neither one of them need to be long-term tag champions. Now, who are they going to lose it to? Possibly Imperium. I'm not really sure, but they're probably just going to hold them from Chamber to Mania. We then get another tag team action, but this time it's the women, and we get Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler versus Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. Short but effective tag match. Some good action in the little bit of time they were given. Zoe hit the Z360 on the Chelsea Green for the win. And then we get the Cody Rhodes promo. And man, as emotional as the Punk promo got, with everything that he's been through the last decade, coming back to a place he'd never be before, and having to sacrifice his dream of going to WrestleMania. This promo was just as emotional, if not more so. Cody came out and he talks about how we come to wrestling shows in order to escape. But sometimes the performers need to escape as well. And he says that he really needed to escape on Saturday, and we will never know the extent of how badly he needed us, and we were there for him. He wants to make Mania 40 official, and Seth freaking Rollins comes out. Now, after the Rumble, we saw him kind of point at Roman Reigns. We figure all roads lead to Roman Reigns. Seth congratulates him and says that he deserves the victory. He even goes as far as to take his glasses off and says that fighting Roman is a mistake, that he should fight him instead. Seth says that Cody isn't the guy. Roman isn't the guy. He is the guy. And the World Heavyweight Championship is the title, not the WWE Championship. He talks about how last year he understood him going after Roman. There was only one title. But now the landscape has changed, and there's two titles. The World Heavyweight Championship is the workhorse title. It was created because the people were sick and tired of Roman Reigns not being there, not defending the title, defending it with shady intentions. The belt that he holds, it was created by the people, for the people, because of the people. And he asks if Cody wants the Hollywood Championship, the Hogan title, the title that everybody politics and scratches and claws and steps on people for? Or does he want the Dusty Rhodes title, the workhorse title, the blue collar title? And Cody says he'll think about it. Now, I gotta say, Seth Rollins made a hell of a statement here. And as much as I want to see Cody get the WWE Championship, the belt that his father couldn't obtain, I think I'd rather see this match. They had a hell of a trilogy back in 2022 when Cody first came back. So to now have a face-off at WrestleMania and have Cody defeat Seth for the World Heavyweight Championship, essentially the belt that goes back to the big gold belt that his father did in fact hold, I think it makes sense. And then we still leave the door open for the potential of Rock and Roman. And that makes sense. And everybody is happy. Because if we're being real, there's nobody else on the Raw roster that makes sense for Seth to have to tackle. Punk was the obvious choice. Punk is down with an injury. You could slot somebody else in there, but nothing makes sense. You can have the winner of the chamber go in there, but then you got to force feed a story into a little over a month, like a month and a week, 5 weeks. You've got to shoehorn some story between the chamber winner and Seth Rollins. This is a written story. You know, Mikey said everything Seth said made sense and was true. Absolutely. Emmanuel says, do we want Seth to go on forward, though? Not really, but we know Seth is probably going to limp through this injury to get to Mania, be heavily taped going into Mania, and then go and get surgery. So he gets surgery, comes back, maybe around SummerSlam, then we get a rematch. Nathan says, how about Gunther and a repeat of WrestleMania 6? I wouldn't mind that as much, but there's no history between Gunther and Seth. Like I said, then we have to try to shoehorn a story into about 5 weeks. And WWE writers are decent enough at that, but I want a story to make sense. Gunther hasn't even really been teasing Seth, calling Seth out. There's been nothing there. Emmanuel says Triple H noticed what I've been telling you, JJ. I think thus the short match for Shayna and Zoe. Possibly. Why can't Gunther go to Australia? I don't know anything about that. Fill me in. We then had a New Day promo backstage, and Kofi goes off about the Intercontinental Championship match he's about to have with Gunther, and how everybody talks about the New Day, but what everybody forgets to mention is that the New Day win championships. Setting it up here that he could have a fluke victory here and defeat Gunther for the IC title. Says his visa. Does he not have a visa? Is his visa not valid in Australia? I need more than just that, Emmanuel. What is it about his visa? We then had Jey Uso versus Bronson Reed, and this was an awesome one-on-one contest that saw Jey defeat the behemoth Bronson Reed. Okay, here we go. Gunther can't go because of visa issues and trying to get U.S. residency. Got it. That sucks. Because that's the only way they could really shoehorn him in is if he went to the chamber and won the chamber. So I don't see how we can get Gunther versus Seth in a repeat of WrestleMania 6 then. We then go backstage and we see Andrade with Adam Pearce. Adam Pearce gives him the Raw contract. Andrade signs the deal. And Nick Aldis comes in and is like, man, I didn't even get an opportunity. Pearce is like, well, business is business. Aldis brings up the fact that they need to speak about the Elimination Chamber match, because I'm assuming it's going to be 3 Raw, 3 SmackDown. And Nick Aldis then gets a phone call from one Braun Breaker. So it looks like Braun Breaker may be brokering a deal to go to SmackDown, which I think is fine. I'm cool with Andrade being on Raw for right now anyways. They can always draft him to SmackDown once Charlotte is ready to come back. That way husband and wife are together just like they are in all the other shows. Tiz and Bianca are both on SmackDown. Becky and Seth are both on Raw, etc. So once she's ready to come back, he can get drafted or traded over to SmackDown, no problem. I agree it's about time to bring up Braun, but I would wait till after Stand and Deliver personally. He has been the face of that NXT for the better part of the last couple of years. Let him be part of their WrestleMania and then bring him up the Raw after Mania would be my thought. But you've also got the fact that Mello and Trick have to take on the LWO tonight. So if Trick and Mello lose, then Braun is fighting the LWO, who are on SmackDown, and it just makes sense to transition him over there to start feuding with the LWO. We'll have to see what happens with tonight's NXT, which of course I will be reviewing tomorrow right here on For the Love of Wrestling. We then had a promo with Gunther responding to the claims of Kofi, basically saying that, he hopes he steps up and brings the intensity because Gunther loves a good fight. We then have Becky Lynch backstage, and she talks about how she feels like she kind of let people down over the weekend with the Rumble, but she will not stop until she regains the championship and brings it back to the main event where it belongs. Taking a shot at Rhea. Again, it looks like they're trying to build to Becky and Rhea. Please, God, don't. I don't want it. There are other women on the roster that deserve these opportunities. And Rhea has only defended against a small handful because she's defended about as much as Roman Reigns has. I'm just saying. Manuel says Braun and Roxy might get a call up after the pay-per-view, but I agree, Stand and Deliver. If called up sooner, who do they face in WrestleMania? It's too early to tell, Emmanuel, who they would face at WrestleMania. Braun, depending on what happens tonight, I would say Braun as part of the LWO angle would make sense, feuding with someone from the LWO. As far as Roxy, it depends which brand they put her on because we don't even know where she would end up. Realistically, they'll probably have some kind of multi-woman match that they always do, and she'd end up getting lumped in that. Thank you. We don't need Rhea versus Becky. We then go to Kofi versus Gunther, and this was just a knockdown, drag-out match. Kofi brought the intensity just as Gunther asked, but it wasn't enough. Gunther got the victory. Post-match, Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci came in, jumped Kofi and Xavier Woods. Woods had just come out previously to check on his buddy Kofi, and the two of them just beat the snot out of them. And they kept shooting to the entrance ramp, which Gunther was kind of walking up backwards. I thought they were going to have Big E return right then and there. That would have been a perfect time to do it. Again, even if he's not cleared to wrestle, just to have the New Day music drop, see him come out, Gunther back up to him, that would have been an insane reaction for Big E. I think Big E is good enough that he could at least be back in a managerial role for the New Day. Give them those numbers back again, even if he can't get physical. I want Big E Langston on my TV. We then had the Kabuki Warriors versus Natalya and Tegan Knox. This was a decent match, but it wasn't as good as the Zoe Stark, Shayna Baszler, Chelsea Green, Piper Niven match. This was just kind of a place filler. It was what it was. Champs retained because, of course, they're going to lose in their first title defense 4 days after winning it. That makes a lot of sense. Backstage afterwards, we get Caden Carter and Katana Chance saying that they've got their rematch next week. And then Bailey cuts a promo since the Kabuki Warriors are already in the ring. Io Sky and Dakota Kai come out. Dakota without her leg brace. First time we've seen her without her leg brace. Definitely makes me think that the turn is coming and she's just about ready to get back to action. And she starts talking about how Damage Control has come together just like she said they would. She begins to brag about her Rumble accomplishments when Rhea Ripley comes out. And Rhea begins to trash talk her as she's walking down the ring. And Nia Jax comes out from behind and just cracks Rhea upside the head. Now, personally, I would rather see Nia Jax versus Rhea Ripley. And I know that's crazy to a lot of people because a lot of people are anti Nia Jax and everything. But I'd rather see that than fucking Becky. Nia Jax has at least been on this tear since she come back, destroying the competition without seriously injuring them. Kayfabe injuring, yes, but not really injuring. So let her be the one to topple mommy. I'd rather see that. I might be crazy, but I'm just saying. Nia then tells Bailey that Rhea isn't even going to make it until WrestleMania for her to challenge. We then get our main event, Sami Zayn versus Drew McIntyre, and this was another slobber knocker of a match. Definitely on the level of Kofi and Gunther. Drew got the victory with the Claymore right after Sammy went for a haluva tick and inadvertently got low blowed. Inadvertently. And this was a fantastic match. All in all, Raw was a solid show. I'm hearing people say Raw was better than the Rumble. I don't know if I'd say that much, but I would say Raw was as good as the Rumble. A lot of people are down talking the Rumble. I don't know what they're talking about. Rumble show was amazing this weekend. The Jeff Meacham Network Multiverse of Media had a fantastic time calling it. Noah Foster, myself, Walter Cruz popping in between matches, Statboy Mike bringing us the stats during the Rumble match. Just phenomenal show, top to bottom. Nia versus Rhea has a WrestleMania story, not an Elimination Chamber now seen the day one match. Yeah. I say do Rhea versus Becky at the Chamber because if they're going to have Rhea main event, she's got to have main event caliber talent. And Becky being an international icon too, I think that would be perfect. You got Ireland versus Australia, that would be a hell of a main event. And then at Mania, you do Nia versus Mommy. That's how I do it. Yeah, people complaining that the Rumble had no surprises for the men. I was surprised by Andrade. That was a surprise. Granted, we kind of thought he was coming back, but it was still a surprise because nobody knew. What did you guys think of Raw? Let me know. Leave your thoughts in the comments. We are going to take a quick commercial break as we usually do. And when we come back, we will do our shills and we will get out of here. Here's what you can expect later on today from our friends at Statboy Sports Bar.
You ever wanted to come into a sports bar where the barkeeps know their game? Well, the Jeff Beecham Network Multiverse of Media has got a production just for you. Sit down and relax as the Stat Boy and his partner break down the statistics in all things sports. Whether it's football, basketball, motorsports, baseball, hockey, soccer, professional wrestling, mixed martial arts, boxing, and much, much more. All are welcome. Your barkeeps here keep you up to date and in the know of everything going on in sports, while also having a pleasant conversation about it all. Your host and owner of the bar, Stat Boy Mike. His partner in crime, Dory Lou. And a host of other guests coming in. The food's hot, the seats are warm, the drinks are ice cold, and the sports talk is plentiful. Casa de 18 Studios presents Stat Boy Sports Bar. Take a bar stool and enjoy the show.
And we're back. Statboy said earlier that he is working on his stats, getting ready for the sports bar later today, which of course you will be able to find right here on the Casa de 18 Studios channel, as well as on the Jeff Meacham Network, 3 o'clock Pacific, 6 o'clock Eastern, where Statboy, Dory Lou, and his crew get into some shenanigans and discuss the week in sports statistics. See what we got here. Someone come in. Emmanuel said, I'm surprised Punk did that angle with the torn bicep. Makes me think it isn't as bad, but what do I know? Basically, what I think happened is, Emmanuel, is I think he was going to get surgery either today or tomorrow. So it's one of those things, kind of like when Cody wrestled Hell in a Cell with the torn pectoral. It's not going to get a whole lot worse. Go out there, do the angle, let Drew stop on it, and then go get the surgery. So I think that's why they did it. Statboy says, and we have a really cool announcement that I am very proud to take place, and he cannot wait. There you go. So make sure you guys tune in at 3 o'clock Pacific, 6 o'clock Eastern for all of that. Let me see. I think that is just about it. There might be one other plug here to do. Give me 1 second. Having not done any stuff here lately, I didn't have all my stuff loaded in pre-show, so I do apologize for that as I stall just slightly here. Trying to find the graphic. Of course, can't be easy to access. Any questions while I do this? Please, last chance, put it in the chat room. I can't find it. In any event, the graphic I was looking for was for Vengeance Day, which is this Sunday. Coverage I believe will begin at 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Eastern on the Jeff Meacham Network Multiverse of Media. Noah and I will be back in the chairs calling the action for NXT Vengeance Day. Again, this Sunday. Simply predicting for that will be on Friday, 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern, normal time. That'll be on the Simple Man's brand, as well as here on the Casa D18 Studios channel. We're trying to get Noah Foster and Dattila up to 1,000 subscribers. Dattila is almost there. She only needs like 40 more subscribers. So go to youtube.com/Rangers of Wrestling. Subscribe to her channel if you haven't already. She gives you Power Ranger videos as well as wrestling videos and reviews. Noah Foster, the simple man with the spectacular voice, the voice and MVP of the JMN. N Foster 1916 is his YouTube channel. Right now, we're just trying to get him to 400. He still has a long ways to go, but he has said that if he can get to 375 subscribers, he will start doing wrestling review shows. And Noah watches all things wrestling. So while he probably won't do Raw, SmackDown, and that stuff because the market is flooded with that, you can expect to probably see Noah do Impact Wrestling reviews, which is something not a lot of people do. And I'm not even committed to do past No Surrender. I have to see if the product hooks me enough to keep going past No Surrender. He'll probably do stuff for New Japan, AAA, any of that type of stuff that he catches. Stardom. So if you want to get some wrestling reviews from stuff outside of the commercial bubble that everybody does, N Foster 16 on YouTube. Go subscribe to him. Help get him up to 400 subscribers. That's right, Statboy. Dattila's channel is more phenomenal. I hope we know this coming PPV who attacked Trick finally. I think it's lost heat now. I agree. Here's what I think is going to happen, Emmanuel. Melo's kind of been teasing the fact that he's been on the SmackDown roster lately. Had a few matches, competed in the U.S. title tournament, was in the Rumble. My thought process is that either tonight or at Vengeance Day, Trick and Melo are going to lose the match. They may make it past the LWO tonight to get to Vengeance Day, or they may lose tonight in order to get Braun to the LWO because he's supposed to be going up to SmackDown anyways. Either way, they're going to lose in the Dusty Classic, and that's going to start the rift for them. When the rift really begins, that's when we're going to get the exposure. And then when we get to Trick and Ilya at Vengeance Day, I think Melo's going to end up pulling the trigger, costing him the title because that title should have been him. Then we'll get to Stand and Deliver, and it'll be, well, no, let me stop there. March, there will probably be a TV special because January was New Year's Evil on TV. March, there will probably be a TV special, which will probably Ilya versus Trick versus Mello in a triple threat. Stand and Deliver will probably be Trick versus Mello. Loser leaves NXT. Mello loses, goes up to the SmackDown roster. That's how I would book it. What do you guys think? Again, let me know. Thank you all for tuning in and joining us. Make sure you subscribe to Rangers of Wrestling. Make sure you subscribe to N Foster 1916. Make sure you guys tune in tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel, when I do my review of tonight's episode of NXT. And until then, thank you guys for joining me, and I will catch you guys later.
The Jeff Meacham Network's Multiverse of Media. For over 15 years, the recognized symbol of excellence and the standard bearer in coverage of sports and entertainment.
Thank you, JJ. Appreciate you.